Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Patriot Patch Company and Camerado. How's everybody doing tonight?
Hanging in there.
Doing good.
Sweet.
I'm here. Barely, but I'm here.
Instead of the disassociated head, it's the disassociated voice.
Well, I think there's a few people out there that know this voice.
Yep. So, Ray, what you been up to?
Nothing. Just yard work. I can't even talk tonight. Went to the range this past Saturday with Nick. He was in town for Easter, so we went to the range and shot some loads for an upcoming video we're going to have on our channel. And we got to do the studio one yet. We got the range portion done, and it was a really good day shooting. So we'll cover all that. I think Nick's older gun that. I don't know if you talked to Mike.
I have not said anything yet.
Okay. The old gun that he bought off you, the parts gun, shot lights out of everything else. I mean, I shouldn't say the lights out, but considerably better.
Let's see. I didn't save it. Dang it. I got the targets upstairs, but it was incredible. We were doing chronograph work as well. I had 3 shots with a standard deviation of 1. And mind you, this is a cast load on accurate 5744.
Good job.
Go right, Dad. That was his group.
Wow.
So yeah, I think each of us had all 3 guns. We shot his Argentine, my Argentine, and then the Peruvian I bought off Mike. I think all of them had a standard deviation of anywhere from like 12 to 17 or something like that. I have a 5-round group, and extreme spreads that were like 25 to 30, and the averages were all within 4 or 5 feet per second on all 3 guns. It was incredible. I'm like, we found the load to keep. Not changing that.
No, it does well with that cast load.
Excellent.
Yeah. Nice shooting, guys. Nice reloading.
ST1, low STs across the board. It's you got to be the ammo rate, not necessarily the firearm. So there you go, Nick. Congratulations, you are now a hand loader.
Yep.
No, it felt crazy when you're, especially on the Peruvian. I knew that gun is, the outside of the gun's seen better days, but I'm looking down at the chronograph out of the corner of my eye after each shot, and the first shot's like 1584, second shot's like 1583, third shot's like 1585 or something like that. I had multiple duplicates, and it was just incredible. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, where's my winning lottery ticket? That was a good weekend.
Well, the question I remember I'm not old military guns. What caliber are these firearms you're talking about?
They are. I don't know if I have a round. Oh, I have a case over here. Let me grab one of the cases.
Yeah, I don't know what the Peruvian one was. So, while he's doing that. Oh, he's back.
So here's the case it fires. It's a 7.65 by 50 through 54, I think.
3, I thought.
53, 54. I think this one's 54. But it's just basically kind of, I think you can make it a 270 brass, so I think my dad made it out of. And
by the way, Nick,
it's a 312. Yeah.
I think your camera's actually dirty.
Okay, I'll clean it here in a minute.
Because I'm looking at you full screen now, and the way the light is acting, I think there's actually dirt on the camera.
Oh yeah, there's a smudge right on top of it. Yeah, we'll get that in a second. But no, it's a super relaxing caliber to shoot. Still pretty easy to reload because it's a 312 bullet.
Nice.
Just super easy, and you can pick up Argentine Mausers, still relatively inexpensive. So it's a fun one to shoot. PPU still makes brass, so I have probably close to 600 plus pieces of original surplus brass.
Nice.
That's Bourdain primed. It's actually
Right.
the primer's still there, but I'm probably just going to punch the primers and convert to boxer primed.
Yep.
No, the gun shoots wonderful. Little to no recoil on with the accuracy we were getting on 3 different guns. I was amazed.
Yeah. See, Nick, you just need to get yourself, you just put this in your press, and then you can take care of all those nasty Bourdain primers.
Is that better? That looks
Yeah.
better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you just need to get one of these, and then you can take care of that nasty primer
Well,
problem.
I have a simple one in my RCBS rock chucker right here, which would probably work. But I'm gonna get the stuff from our buddy Brian Nixon. That way I can just screw into my sizing die and just drill them out and do 50
I'll
at a time.
find mine at some point in time.
Well, I think Dad and I were talking over the weekend. We're gonna buy one for RCBS and one for Lee, which will do 99% of our dies. So
Yeah.
Plus, I just noticed this brass has already been annealed, so that's even easier. I'll anneal them again, though.
Sweet.
Don't forget to deprime them before you anneal them.
Oh, no, yeah. The first step will be I'll probably take 50 of them and soak them in water with some vinegar in them. Well, not vinegar. I'll probably just do water just to basically dilute these primers. And then I'll drill them out, dry them, and then drill them out. That's probably what I'll end up doing. So.
You could also just chamber them in an empty rifle, Nick, at the range, and
true, and then just clean. Yeah,
just clean the gun out real good.
Yeah, that's probably the better idea.
It'll be safer, that's for sure.
Yeah. Because who knows if all that moisture will get down into the primer, and then if you go drying it, you might get a pop primer. Yeah, that's probably easier.
Well, if you have any with loaded brass, shoot it as ammo.
Well, I've heard mixed reviews on this stuff, so I might load one up with just a standard basic. Well, I'll probably do like that cast bullet charge and try it, see if it works. It's worth a shot.
Paul, I know Paul's over there itching to say something about. I'll let him have the floor if you want. But remember that old ammo like that, you might be corrosive ammo.
Well, I know it's
By
Bourdain.
that, I mean,
it's probably going to be Bourdain.
It very possibly could contain priming salts, which will attract moisture to your rust into your gun before you get home from the range. Okay.
Yep. There's an 81 head stamp on this. I'll have to go look at my head stamp book.
If it's not new, it possibly isn't. But why the hell take the chance?
Yeah.
So Clifford Zach asked, "Hey Mike, what was that in your hands?" So this is the FW Arms decapping die, universal decapping die, and this bad boy is spring-loaded, auto centering, and that pin, that beast right there, that'll create a whole new flash hole for you.
Yep.
So that's what that was, Clifford. That is the FW Arms universal decapping die. Comes in this nice little case, and it sits right here on my desk, so it's always ready to go.
With the spare pin.
Yeah, the spare pin's over in the extra tools part. So,
but yeah, it's it probably it is the best decapping die out there, bar none.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't come across any betters. So, Paul, what'd you do?
Nothing. I'm recovering.
Yeah. So me, I did a little bit of organizing. So I can actually get to the closet now. And you can actually see a lot more of the floor. So the other thing I did is I met up with Swinging Hammer Creations and Bench Addict out at Bench Addict's range, and we attempted to shoot the 22 challenge. So what the 22 challenge is and I forgot to bring the target down. I have one printed out, but dang it. So we've posted it in Discord. There's actually a link in Discord for this. Working on pulling up the picture of the target. So, but what it is there's a target that I think he found on
Accurate shooter.
Well, I think he found it actually on Pinterest. So, but I don't know how all this is going to show up because the pigs. So that's the target. Now, when you print it out, obviously it's not going to be black; it's going to be white, and I think that's looking like that because I have. Let me change it. But I think it's because of the setting I have on my phone that it shows up like that, as opposed to the other way. So anyway, so what we're doing with those targets is putting quarter 20 washers on those targets, and then you need to take a 22 and shoot through the center of the washer.
Rimfire.
So Swinging Hammer said it looks like that the way that Bench Addict posted it. So yeah, so 22 long rifle rimfire shooting through there, 10 washers, 50 yards. The thing we found out the hard way is you can't just do it on straight paper. You need something of a more solid backer, because as soon as you punch through the first, if you hit a washer at all, it just shreds the paper. So we're looking at, they're going to be playing around looking at cardboard, and I'm going to try and get a chance to get some cardboard set up too. So, I mean, if you could print cardstock, that would work, but that's kind of pricey.
When is your election over with? Your primary? Today?
Yep.
There's your backing.
Yeah.
All the
signs. There's
right.
not a lot around here though. That's the thing. So, but yeah, those work great as target backers.
Yes.
So,
and use some 3M spray adhesive.
You could actually, if you're going to use that as a backer, you could actually use a staple gun and staple the washers in place.
Probably, yeah.
But I think the 3M adhesive is a better idea. So anyway, so the idea is shoot the target 50 yards, 10 washers, and there you go.
One shot per target.
Yes, one shot per washer. So Swinging Hammer brought out his new custom rifle, and he was playing with that. He didn't even spend a lot of time doing load development on it, and just had some ridiculous numbers on his first go round.
We did spend time on load development.
Oh, well, I'm saying as far as like, he didn't do, he said he
workup.
didn't.
He didn't do any workups. No.
No, and he didn't get serious about superseding and a whole bunch of stuff. He just kind of seeded the bullets. He dumped the powder in and put the bullets on it, and the way he went. So, but yeah, he had single digit SDs and ESs out of that, and it was grouping real nice.
Like you're
at 100.
talking about
caliber?
reloading.
What's
Go ahead,
that?
Ray.
Caliber? I'm sorry.
Oh, what? It's 7 something or other.
Okay.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
7
You
saw.
7 saw.
7 saw.
I thought you were talking about 20. When you said 22 challenge, I thought you were talking about shooting 22 rimfire at those washers.
We
Yeah,
are.
he is. But
But
he
Kevin,
brought-
but he also brought out his 7 saw to play with while we were
Okay,
in
that's
range.
got to be what, 7mm?
yes. Yes, 7mm. It's a blown out 708 case. That's
Okay.
that's getting in the 2800s with a 180 grain bullet, which is pretty hot.
Wow.
So
Yeah, it
basically,
is.
it's kind of like somewhat of a idea of an Ackley improved, but not quite.
Right.
So, because it's not that standard Ackley improved shoulder.
I follow. No, when you
Yes.
confuse me when you switch to change calibers without saying something.
Yeah. He
When you're
brought it
saying-
out. It was a brand new build.
Ah.
He's just put it together. He's new action, new barrel, new stock, new trigger, the whole 9 yards, new scope. And the first 20 shots that he did were in the single digits in SDs and ESs.
Out damn standing.
So he said it's closer to a 308. It's got with like a 30-degree shoulder. So basically, it's a 7/8 with a 30-degree shoulder instead of the standard shoulder. So
20 on a 708.
Yeah.
And 308 is 20. This is a 30, and AI would be a 40, but it's it's really strong brass and very, very uniform brass. It's from our.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he's putting those bullets through that washer, he's doing some mighty damn fine shooting.
Oh no, he
because
wasn't shooting at the
that
targets
bullet-
with that.
Okay.
No. This was after the challenge.
I was going to say the bullets are just about the same diameter as the hole in the washer.
Oh, they're a little
I think
bigger.
the hole in the washer. I think the hole in the washer is 312 actually, maybe even 320. But I what do I know?
No, not in a quarter 20
Mike.
washer.
Quarter 20 washers. It's
Yeah,
only
quarter 20 would have about a 5/16 hole. I mean 0.312, maybe 0.300, something like that.
No, they're 0.250. 0.250.
Right, that's the bolt. That's the bolt diameter.
Right, and the washer's not much
the
bigger.
the nominal diameter of the inside of the hole is going to be about 0.300, maybe 0.275, something like that. Because remember, there's a little bit of slop on the side of the washer. Anyway, we're not here to argue about that. I did a couple things in reloading, guns anyway. I started doing some cleanup. Started making digging a hole into my workbench. That's about it. And well, tonight I was going to go to the gun club, but I was doing errands and chores. I ran too late to do anything respectable, so I decided I was not going to show up to the gun club meeting late. That's discourteous. So, Nick, what about you? Did you do anything, or have you already gone already?
No, I went back home for the weekend, for the holiday. Yeah, as Dad said, we went shooting. That's really about it. Picked up some more powder last week. I think last Wednesday I went and picked up some more powder. I got 2 more pounds of IMR 4227 when I think it was like $43 a pound when it's that cheap. It's the old price. It's going to be going up. I'm like, I might as well stock up on that while I can. So, but
Yep, powder is going up again. So if you don't have if you come across what you're looking for, you better get it now because it's going up again.
I did want to say one more thing. It's off topic, if you don't mind, Mike.
Yeah.
And Chris, if you need to take this out of the podcast. Russ and Alaska, this is why you don't see me today. Because I'm not on my computer. My computer has been down for 3 weeks. 3 shows, third show today. And it's being upgraded and new motherboarded and Windows 11 installed. Anyway, that's why I'm not showing my face today, because every time I move around, kind of like, oh boy. Thanks for your time, Mike. I'm still here.
So my dogs are gonna get loud because I hear a fire truck coming by, and so they howl at the fire truck. It's kind of cute, except the little one can't really howl, so he just like yep 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 yep. It's funny as heck. So they might get loud.
Mike, real quick, before we go into the topic,
Yeah.
Got a question for the side chat. I was kind of doing some research for some bullet molds today and the last couple days, and stumbled upon a brand on eBay of some dyes I've never heard of before. See if anybody in the side chat has. And I asked the panel backstage. None of us have. The brand is NEI. I assumed it was somebody getting confused typing NOE, but I've never heard of them. I don't know if anybody in the side chats had any experience with them, and just want to get some insight if anybody's got any information by chance. So they look like good quality mold. They look steel molds, but I'm not 100% sure. They look very similar to NOE molds. So that's where I was getting thinking somebody just typed it wrong.
So, just wanted to give a shout out to everybody on Instagram and everybody on Rumble. So, howdy y'all. I do flip back and forth between the chats, so post questions and stuff, and we'll get them. So tonight we're talking about advanced techniques for straight wall. Obviously, without necks and shoulders, you're not going to be turning necks. You're not going to be bumping shoulders back. I mean, could you theoretically turn the wall? I mean, you could. Honestly, it's probably not going to give you the same sort of benefit as turning a neck would.
Mike, may I ask a question?
Yes.
You're talking about turning the wall below the bullet seating area?
No. The bullet seating
Just
area.
turning the neck, just turning the bullet seating area, which in effect you are turning the wall, but it's only the wall around the vicinity of the bullet seating area.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to go any farther than that because then you're changing your case capacity, and bad juju can happen when you do that.
Amen.
Plus, you could weaken the brass at that area.
Right, and you could still do that where the bullet seating is, but I mean, it's just like turning a neck. You need to do your homework and that type of thing. The other thing is you wouldn't be able to use like the bushing setup because there's no shoulder to stop it. So some of the things you can do, you can sort your bullets by diameter and weight. You can sort you can sort your brass by case capacity or weight. So case capacity, the easiest way to do that is, who's that 21st century, Paul?
21st century primer plug. Yep.
Yep, makes a little plug that you put in the primer pocket, and then you fill up your brass with water, and then you can measure how much water it holds. The other thing you can do is you can actually weigh the brass. I'm personally, I don't. If you're getting all the brass from the same lot number, well, then that's effective. If it's not the same HAD stamp, it's not the same lot number, weighing your brass is not going to do any good, in my personal opinion, because every brass mix is not the same.
Correct.
There's no guarantee even. That's why they have different lot numbers of brass, because when they have a lot number of brass, that brass was all made at the same time and it's all from that same mixture when it's made into cups.
And the dyes are all the same, you know, using the same dye and everything else as it's going through. So the set of dyes that it goes through and hammering out the cup and everything as it goes is all with the same setup.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting consistent head thickness, consistent rim thickness, consistent case wall thickness, and so on. The things you can do, you can uniform primer pockets.
Mm-hmm.
You can deburr primer pockets. You know, you can treat your cases as you would a bottleneck case. You just have a couple of options that you can't do. Um, you know, you're going off the rim. You're not uh, going off of the shoulder. Some of them may head space off the case mouth. Um, Depends upon what you're doing. You know what kind of brass it is and what kind of load it is. So you have a number of options there, and you know, if you're head spacing off the case mouth, you got to make sure that every case is measured the same, so they're all trimmed the same. Um, Involves case trimming. Wow, didn't have to do that with pistol. Of course, some people do. I mean, you know,
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're talking some of your revolver cases, you're going
sure,
to want to do that.
500s. Yeah, your 500 Smith and Wesson,
460s, maybe your 357s and 44s, 41s.
357 maximum. You know,
Yeah.
those would be something that you could trim. And again, you know you're going through and finding case volumes and everything else that could go with it.
Question.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. What about case neck preparation using something like an M die, Lyman M die, for neck expansion so it will accept the bullet without shaving lead from the wall of the bullet?
Well, that
Would that be
depends upon the.
considered?
Yeah, it would be considered, but then again, so a lot of the straight wall die sets already have a case mouth expansion to expand the case mouth, so you don't shave lead on it. 4570 comes to mind. That comes with a third die that you can that expands the case mouth slightly. But an M die, sure. Most M dies that I remember using are for lead bullets. Lead bullets seem
Exactly.
to be slightly oversized. So if you're shooting, if the gun is set up for a, let's say a 44 Magnum, which is 429, and you may have a 431 bullet and want it to fit into that case. So you need an M die to open it up more to prevent it from shaving lead as you seat the bullet.
Not so much open it up more as it is to be more gentle with the taper.
Well, yeah, but then remember the M die is also going to taper the case. It's going to taper
Yes,
the inside of the case. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 30 caliber M die downstairs. I know what you're talking about.
Right. So it's gonna, it's gonna expand the case and put a taper in there, so it's easier to seat the bullet
Exactly.
without distortion. That's the big thing. Without distorting the bullet.
There you go.
You
Thank you,
distort
sir.
you distort the bullet, you lose accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing can be said for copper bullets. I mean, if you distort a bullet, you're going to get poor accuracy. Other things, adjusting the crimp and the type of crimp that you're dealing with.
Yep.
Taper crimp or roll crimp. Does the bullet have a cantilever in it so you can put a roll crimp into it? Are you cutting the brass back so you're even, so that when you seat the bullet, that the roll crimp that you're going to put on is going to be in the same place every time into that cantilever? So there's lots of little things that you can do with a straight wall case to manipulate the load to give you a more accurate hand load. And we haven't even gotten into parts about powder measures and controlling the charge and everything else that you're putting into the case.
Yeah,
Mike?
that's kind of be your next big thing is, instead of just your basic powder dispenser or powder thrower or just your basic scale, now we're looking into more advanced powder dispensers, something a little more serious. So,
And there's a number out there. There's a number of them out there. I mean, you can start with an AT4 auto trickler 4 with a FX 120i scale. You got the super trickler out there now that uses the same FX 120 scale. Then there's the new Ingenuity powder trickler out there that gives you 3 options as far as scales go. You can use 120 or a Sartorius or the Creedmoor Sports milligram scale that they have out there. That's in the $350 range, but it allows you, it's set up where you can put the Ingenuity trickler into it. Then of course we can go the hard way and you can lease a Prometheus or buy a Prometheus, one of the two, which is nice that they're actually selling them nowadays. But it's about 4 times the money that an AT4 is, which puts you in the $5,000 range. Yeah, 5,000. Yeah.
I've heard good things about the RCBS Matchmaster. That's actually come down $100 since it came out. Originally, when it came out, it was $1,000. It's now down to $900. Similar footprint to their Chargemaster as far as overall space, but what it does is a lot more.
It's just slower than the AT4.
Right.
And it's 4/10 of a grain. not tenths, 4/100ths of a grain instead of 2/100ths of a grain. So, but again, it's a more reasonable price. You're going to save yourself,
Looks like there's
$400 versus an AT4.
Did you mention the Ingenuity?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the one I was saying that uses the Creedmoor, the Sartorius, and the
Yeah.
FX scale.
Okay.
Ingenuity is very nice as far as the trickling portion of it. It
Yeah.
actually
It hasn't
uses
launched yet, but
no, it hasn't launched yet, but
it's in pre-order, so
yeah. I've seen copies of it. Some people have said they've got them already, and the nice thing is that it doesn't take. If you want to start out with the Creedmoor scale, you can start out with the Creedmoor scale, and without any other things other than changing the plug in the back and plugging it into an FX 120i or a Sartorius. It's all the same hardware as far as that goes. So you can either, you can spend the $900 on the Ingenuity and plus the scale, or you can spend, let's say $500 for FX 120, or you can go up to $900 for a Sartorius and and weigh within 1/100th of a grain, if you want to be that way. And they're fast, very fast. You're talking, it can drop a charge within 10 seconds of 50 grain charge, which you can be with some of the other units and be in the 20 or 30-second range. So it makes some types of precision loading faster.
Has the Super Trickler come around?
Yeah, it's out there.
Well, I know that, but I know that there was concerns.
There was a couple of issues on the patent on it.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, from what I understand, it's been solved. And the thing about the Super Trickler is the expandable software that it's built with.
Yeah.
So eventually you could have a loading block with 100 or 200 holes in it and set it up, your cases in there, and it would keep track of which one it dropped powder in, go down, and you could load 200 or 400 charges of powder and in a half hour without you even touching anything.
Nice. So Vanessa in the chat said she misses the scale she used in the paper mills labs. They were isolated from the environment. You could measure the amount of moisture evaporating off an item on the scale. Super nifty weighting. Yeah, that's impressive. So
that's scientific balances, I guess is what we call them now.
Yeah.
And they've gotten to the point where they're affordable for us now. I mean, if you think, between $400 and $500 you can get one, that's not bad. there are a lot of there are other scales that don't have the expandability of the Creedmoor, the FX, or the Sartorius, but you can sit down and weigh your charges with, with a trickler and such, and be accurate to 200ths of a grain of powder, and be in the $350 range in buying a scale. So it's probably, I would say, it's probably one of the cheaper items out there that can get you into more accuracy, more accurate loading than some of the other items that they're out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people are happy with RCBS powder dispensers, Frankfurt Arsenal powder dispensers. I haven't heard too much about the Lyman or the Hornady, other than I know Bench Addict likes the Hornady, but
the Lyman number 6 isn't bad.
okay.
Excuse me. I have yet to actually, at some point in time, as I'm getting more and more cleaned up, I am going to actually run a test, the Lyman 6 against the IntelliDropper. So, because I do have both. So,
I remember getting into reloading because I wanted to save money. Daggone, Paul, you're spending a pile of my money.
damn it, Ricky Bobby, I was high when I told you that.
Start reloading to save money. Wind up spending more.
Okay, so there is some truth to that. Okay.
But only if you're conservative with your shooting.
No. Here is the myth busting on saving money and reloading. So here's what happens is ultimately you save money. Let's just use shot shell an example, okay? The biggest thing I hear with shot shell, well, I can buy a 100-pack at Walmart for $28. I can't load for that cheap. You're right. You can't. However, when you're loading shot shells, you're not loading that crap. When you load shot shells, you're loading a AA quality ammo or a Top Gun or a Remington STS. That's the level shot shell you're loading when you're loading. Okay. And that's if you're just doing the basics on a 600 Junior or Elite load all too.
Yep.
That's what people don't realize. When you're hand loading, like Paul, or Ken loading up his 7 saw, even if he's loading a factory cartridge, not a Wildcat, he's not making your Winchester white box. He's not making your Federal cheap ones. You're talking Nosler quality or higher. So instead of $30 a box of 20, he's loading the $140 or $150 a box ammo because he's taking the time. He's really hand loading. He's doing all the extra steps. Even if you're just reloading 308 or whatever, you're not loading that cheap stuff. You're loading the better quality. You're like my 30-30 loads. I'm not loading the core lock level or the basic Winchester stuff. I'm loading that $60 level. $60 a box.
There's a big difference when I'm paying $42 a box of 100 for bullets versus the $28 a box of bullets per
Right.
100.
And that turns around and with the ammo.
And then you take brass and you sit down and say, okay, if I could find Winchester 308 brass out there and buy it for, $40 for 50, and I'm turning around and buying brass that's costing me $1.50 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm spending $150 per 100 versus 80. Big difference. Big difference.
Mhm.
That's the difference. That's just the start. If I want to load a premium load, and I want something that's going to be more accurate than what I can buy off the shelf, well, that means I got to work at it. I got to use good components. I can't use junk primers. I mean, I can't buy um uh what are those Spanish primers that are out there now?
Mhm.
I got to buy, Federals or CCIs. I'm spending $150 for match primers. Okay.
And
All of a
you're
sudden,
typically not loading for a off the shelf rifle. You typically got a custom rifle, custom barrel, custom action that you want that accuracy.
right. But I'm going to sit there and say, if you use a rifle for any amount of time, you're going to wear a barrel out.
True.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what is it for me to go out and say to spend $600 to have a new barrel put on a gun? Well, I'm going to get a whole lot better barrel than what came with the gun originally, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's got to be something said that for custom barrel makers and gunsmiths that fit these barrels on so you can be more accurate. And somebody said a long time ago, only accurate rifles are interesting.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, anybody can sit down and shoot a 6-inch group, but boy, if I'm going to put 5 bullets in the 6/10 of an inch, boy, now I'm starting to get interested.
Mhm.
Actually, what you guys are doing is pointing out the not so obvious fact that Jim was actually joking, but you guys went right straight down the rabbit hole, and I have not disagreed with the word either one of you have said because you're both right. Damn it, I've been down that rabbit hole myself.
And
Mhm.
somebody owns a very accurate rifle. He doesn't get out and shoot it that much anymore, but he
You're
should.
right.
You
You're
know,
right again. That would be
and
me. I'm going to hold my hand up, even though you can't see it.
yeah,
Paul's exactly right. I need to get my ass out to the range.
right. And shoot a rifle that's got potential to make yourself interested in keeping to go out to the range instead of just putting bullets down range just to put bullets down range. Make something that's going to happen.
Right. So for the straight wall idea, I'm just looking around while you guys are talking. It seems about the nicest ones I could find were the Barnes Vortex, VORTX. The VORTX is their bullet. It's a TSX bullet, and they're $42.99. So that's $2.15 a round. Just as a thought, we're going to take a factory rifle and um, say that ammo with your factory rifle and your good scope at 100 yards, your group is sub MOA. So it's just all 5 shots are just inside an inch. Okay. With a factory ammo. Well, if you're doing what you need to be doing when you're hand loading, you can take that group and shrink it. I did for my 308. I did a 5-shot group that was 0.38 inches across, and I didn't. I did it with Lee powder dippers, lead eyes, and just a Hornady. Yeah, that's right, Hornady, 150 grain um, uh, ballistic tip.
Fire. Okay.
So and I was able to repeat that. I had 3 separate 5-shot groups that were all 0.38 inches. 308 cartridge, the bullet itself is 0.30. So that gives you an idea. And this was, just and like I said, I didn't turn necks. I didn't bump shoulders. I didn't do any of that because most of that stuff I didn't really know at that point in time. I didn't know all the fancy extra. I knew about full length resizing, seating your bullet correctly, and making sure that your powder was consistent charge cartridge to cartridge, and making sure your seating depth was consistent cartridge to cartridge. That's what I knew at that time. Trust me. What everything I've learned. One of the best parts about this podcast is I've learned so much.
Exactly,
So
Mike. Exactly. We both do. We all have.
yeah, and that's the thing is, I'm the only one on the panel that shot shell loads for now, till Nick does and Sorenda gets off her carcass and does. Um, Paul used to, but he doesn't anymore. So, but I've loaded shot shells with my dad for 35 years. His was target loads, his was hunting loads. So he kind of taught me how to play around with what wad you use and all of that to be able to get your different patterns, and that type of things. So and we'll get into shot shell later. Next up, we're going to bottleneck. But after bottleneck's going to be shot shell. So, but I mean, so you've got this Barnes here for $42.99. If you do your work, your ammo should be even more precise than that Barnes stuff. And the Barnes stuff might be more than I'm just throwing out as don't take my word that Barnes will only shoot just barely an MOA. Okay.
Every gun to its law to itself.
Right. And you'll notice that the more, if you get multiple guns in the same cartridge, you can make a load for one that's just absolutely fantastic. And then you throw that in the same thing in the other gun, and you can't hit the broadside of a barn if you were standing in it. And you just look at it and you go, what the boop?
Yep.
So
shot shells. I mean, you talk about shot shells. I've loaded tens of thousands of shot shells.
Yeah.
And one little change in a hull or in a wad, and you're back to square one. And you have to remember, in those days, it was $3-4 for a box of double A's. Okay. And that was the standard, either double A's, Remingtons, or Federals.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time we would pick Federals were live bird shoots, but it was double A's that you had to be able to shoot better than the way they patterned out of your gun. You take a box of double A's, you shoot it at a paper target at 40 yards, you see where the pattern is, where the holes are, and then you try to work yourself to something better at 40 yards with your hand loads.
Excuse me.
So it's
there's
a lot of work to it. People don't understand that. Just here I go, just pull the handle and that's it. It ain't that. It ain't that.
With when you get into, so the other thing that you can do is primer seating depth. We already Paul talked about primer pocket uniforming, and what that is that literally is making every single piece of brass have the exact same width, depth for the primer pocket. So for those of you who don't know how brass is made, it starts out as a little cup. And then what happens is, with a few run-throughs of a hydraulic press, It's actually punched into your correct form and then sized that way. And that includes your primer pocket, your head, so there's no guarantee that every single primer pocket is going to be the exact same shape and size. So that's why you do that. If your flash holes are punched, then you have burrs and you usually have a little piece of metal hanging there. So that's what you need to do then is you need to deburr that hole, get that piece of metal out of there, make sure that the hole is smooth and consistent piece to piece. So that way when the firing pin slams into the primer and then it ignites the primer and it goes shooting through the flash hole, that's consistent cartridge to cartridge.
And to go further down the rabbit hole is to weigh primers.
Mhm.
So you'll have, this is 3.52 grains.
And that's
the
where a
next,
scale like Paul's is going
yeah,
to come in handy, that goes to not just tenths but hundredths.
And you'll sit down and you'll put little cups together and you'll sit down and weigh out primers. And because a heavier primer is more likely to have more substance in it to make it hotter, and that's going to throw off your ESs and your accuracy.
Mhm. ES is extreme spread. So basically, if you fire 20 shots, your extreme spread is your fastest to your slowest. And then standard deviation is kind of like the average of that, essentially. That's kind of the easiest way to explain it I know of.
Standard deviation is you have a set median, and it how much it goes above that and below that
Okay.
on the average. Okay,
So that's a better way to explain it.
so if you start with an average and then it goes, your SD is 5. Well, it could go 5 up from here or 5 down from there. Okay, so but you can get into the single digits. I mean, in the ones and twos. So
Mhm.
if you get 5 shots that were within 1 or 2 feet per second of all of them, there you go.
Yeah, and that's what Ken
Yeah.
had
Right.
on Saturday.
Right.
And he was using a Garmin, so it's the latest and greatest. It's going to be theoretically the most accurate one on the market. So
Okay.
it's not like he was using a cheap shoot through chronograph. He was using
Right.
one that's you know using some of the best methods out there to check it. So that's a SD and an ES you can trust. So
Hmm.
or should be able to anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's um there are good chronographs out there and there are bad chronographs out there.
mhm.
Um
I don't think there's any real bad ones anymore. There's ones that are problematic. Um,
Part of
and
that is shooting technique, like shooting technique and knowing what to do about problems. Like if you shoot in direct sunlight, it's not going to work well.
Well,
it's
the
not
other
so much shooting technique; it's more conditions. But
the
Okay,
other
so
the
I
other
stand
issue
corrected.
the other issue with a sky screen type chronograph is if you're shooting it across at an angle. Okay,
mhm.
Yep, yep,
that will give you a bad reading. Okay, so
agreed.
you got to be 100% square to it, and that's where things like the Garmin
And the lab radar
and the lab radar are right there. I mean,
and
they're not looking
Caldwell's
at
new one. Yeah.
right, and my thing is I like uh my what do you call it
Magneto speed.
Magneto speed. One, it fits on the gun. Two, it has no. I have mine that's mounted off of the barrel,
So you're not affecting barrel
I'm
harmonic.
not affecting barrel harmonics, and I'm measuring right at the muzzle. So I like that. But each their
Well,
own.
what I should have said was, when you're shooting and you have problems getting accurate readings, it's knowing what to do about the light conditions. I have a personal project in mind where I plan on putting my chronograph inside of a box and shooting through the box with downward pointing puck lights over the sky screens. That way I would have more consistent lighting all the way through.
Would it be better to how far? What's your spacing on your sky screens?
Well, it depends. Well, I don't even know what it is because it's in my Crony. It's my Crony Gamma Model Gamma.
Okay.
I would have to open it up to get the actual center to center distance of the sky screens.
So would
We'll
it not
call it
be
15 inches.
would it not be better to take a piece of lightweight plastic that would go all the way across, so and cover most of the sides, than in a box with puck light? Because if what's the you have the issue of with lights of their flicker rate. I mean, most lights, unless they're in Kansas bulbs, they have
Incandescent.
incandescent bulbs. Excuse me. They have a harmonics that can affect a chronograph.
If you were using AC power to run those puck lights, you're absolutely right. But I neglected to mention that my puck lights would be battery operated because I would be in the field. Which what I'm trying to say now is it would be DC, which DC has no AC flicker in it, direct current, as opposed
Okay.
to alternating current. Paul, you got a good point about lighting. But the second idea is the second you gave me is two boxes. One with the plastic top to keep the glare off the sky screens, and
Yeah.
two, the puck lights. You can shoot in the dark with the puck lights on. Now, granted, you've got to keep the batteries up and fresh and all that sort of thing, but you're not going to have the flicker you're talking about unless you use incandescent or AC for power.
Okay. Just so you know that if I remember right, my first chronograph manufacturer, PAC, came out with UV lights for their setup.
So did
So,
Caldwell.
and they UV lights help because the screens only see the UV, and when the bullet crosses it, they went with that.
I
So
see.
Yep. Yeah, Caldwell did that too, and it's a huge difference. I've used my Caldwell indoors. I've used it outdoors. The drawback to my Caldwell is, and I learned this the hard way, is I had it too close. So it was picking up unburnt powder, and it was collecting on the pickup screens. So it was clouding those up, and then it wouldn't see the bullet, so it was throwing errors. Once I cleaned those properly and then moved the chronograph out farther, it was fine.
What's the correct chronograph setting? Is it arbitrary, or what's the standard setting for distance from the muzzle to the first sky screen?
minimum of 15 feet. Minimum of 15 feet. Military uses 78 feet.
78.
78 feet. Military uses 78 feet.
Ain't much unburned powder going to make it that far.
Nope.
The other issue I had, well, the reason I was keeping it that close is I was only on a 20-yard indoor range.
Gotcha.
So I didn't want to put it too far down in case other shooters showed up. But you know, I've since changed that. But now I have the lab radar, so I don't even use the Garmin, or I don't use the Caldwell, I should say. But I do want to reach out to them and see if I can get one of their new ones for T&E. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's another tool in your advanced toolbox. Do you need a chronograph to load? No.
Yes.
Is it very helpful? Yes.
Definitely yes.
No, you
need
don't.
one. You need one to load.
No, you can do it without. It can make things more difficult. Definitely can make things more difficult, especially if you only have a limited distance to shoot at. You know, if you've only got a 100-yard range you can shoot at, you definitely want a chronograph.
I have noticed that the feet per second not matching what the book says you're supposed to get.
It hardly ever does.
Yeah.
Well, there again, because you're not using the same test rifle they used. But.
Correct. That's the starter. Yeah, you're more often than not, the book data, with few exceptions, is usually test barrels under test conditions, perfect atmospheric conditions, and everything else. So their data isn't going to necessarily be what you get in real world testing. So
take a 308, load it with RL-15 at a mid-range charge, shoot it at 0 degrees, and then take the same ammo, walk it out on a day where it's 85 degrees outside, and shoot it again. And I would bet you will see 40 feet per second difference between the two.
depending what powder you used.
RL-15.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, Dad, I'm looking at the cast bullet handbook that we got our data from for those loads. We were pretty dang close to right on.
Nice.
So the book said, which one is it? 1520 is the velocity. We were getting 1587, so not far off. The cast load like that, I'm kind of shocked.
Okay,
well
so the book is saying 15 what?
20, I think.
1520. Okay, yeah. And you're getting on a was it a warm day or cold?
70s, mid 70s.
Mid 70s. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're getting 50 feet per second faster.
Yeah, I have it where I shot it when it was cold, and it's on one of my phones or it's on my computer upstairs. I got to go find that data to see how we compare cold day versus a relatively warm day. So
that points out another thing. Be consistent with your data storage. Don't be Nick.
Exactly. Well, it's on. So when everything with my chronograph, it's on my phone. I send to the phone.
Right. All of your chronographs and everything else, you can export that data. And regardless of whether you have an Android or iPhone, you can upload that data to the cloud. That's the first thing you should do. Is you get done you shooting, you export that data, you upload it to the cloud. That way, no matter where you are, you can find it if you're doing it digitally. Now, if you're doing it old school on paper and you're writing it down, well, then you know where the paper is. So
I'm a believer in old school as far as I take the loads that I have developed that are good for that barrel, and I write that down. I write down how much I've turned the necks. I write down the case length, the bullet weight, the bullet to ogive, everything that I've done to the case, everything that I've done to the bullet, from tipping and pointing the bullet to coating it, primer selection, primer and case lot numbers, powder lot numbers, everything gets put down, chronograph data gets put down in it, and it gets put in a book.
I'm old school and high tech. I go along with what Mike said. I go along with what Paul said. But what I do is I export to the cloud as soon as I get done, get within phone range. And then when I get home and sit down at the computer, I export to hard copy.
I use, you go onto the Reading website, and there is a hand loaders sheet that they have, and you can download it and print off whatever copies you want. And
You bet.
it is a hand loaders sheet. It goes down
Okay.
right down the line of everything that you need, and different bullets. I also carry a another small book with me that it's a data book that I keep track of my barrels, my loads, and the accuracy of the gun. So I know when the gun is starting to become inaccurate or worn out and time to change.
I've heard of people buying three ring notebook binders and one for each gun. And then it would include, like I said, one for each gun, whether it's a handgun, whether it's a shotgun, or whether it's a rifle. That data stays for that book and that gun for that rifle.
I have some, what are they? Right in the Rain 3x5 little books. And
Yep, something like that.
Every time you go to the range, that book comes out. How many shots went down the barrel, everything else, just a list of how many rounds down the barrel. And when you go prairie dog hunting, you know, you're going to sit down, you're going to write down one day 300 rounds. Okay. And it adds up real quick. So, and
sure does.
Begin to understand.
Yeah. Reloading all day. I just wanted to mention this quick. Reloading all day has an app that does load development, Paul. It's a digital and allows you to put in all of the things that you were talking about.
Okay.
So as far as the digital goes, literally you can put your barrel twist rate, your length, your muzzle device you have on it, your scope height, your scope base, MRAD or MOA, for case prep, your brand, your lot number, shell plate or shell holder, number of case firings, is it annealed, the neck thickness, volumetric weight, neck expanding mandrel size, full length or neck sizing die, bushing size, flash holes uniformed, flash hole size, beginning shoulder depth, shoulder setback, neck tension, case trim length, is the donut removed, neck turned, case mouth, run out, primer type, primer pocket depth, height from the bottom of the cup to top of the cup, bottom of primer to top of anvil, how far is the primer flush, below flush of case head, chamfer, and deburring angle, bullets, your brand, your type of bullet, your lot number, micrometer setting for bullet seating. Have the bullets been tipped? True bearing surface length, jacket thickness, bullet concentricity, average bullet length, ogive consistency, diameter consistency, seating length, weight average, type of ogive, lands measurement unit, how far off the lands, CBTO, COAL, magazine COAL.
Wow.
Powder information. I'm not going to even go into that. Your environment. So what the temperature was, the pressure, the humidity. And then this is all exportable.
Wow.
The thing is too, Mike, one thing when Mike forgot to mention is a few years ago, we had reloading all day on this very podcast.
Yeah, we've had reloading all day on. I want to have them on again. But yeah, I mean, it's the amount of stuff that you can put in that app. So, Paul, if you were going to go digital, that would be the app for you.
Well, I know somebody who needs it right now. Bench Addict.
There we go. So,
yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, notebooks it doesn't matter where you're storing it as long as you know where you're storing it. Unlike, I was guilty of the same thing that Nick used to be guilty, that Nick's got the issue of. crap, where did I save that data? And part of my problem is I switch phones. I don't keep the same phone for 7 or 8 years. I'd go nuts. I can't stand having a phone that long because they start to slow down too much and they go nuts. Planned obsolescence, whether it's Android or Apple, it doesn't matter. They all plan to be obsolete. So you buy the fanciest, newest one. So
Well, that's why they're on number 15 already, right?
right.
Yeah.
And
So,
Samsung's matching them phone for phone. So,
right.
but that's the nice thing about having Google Drive or the iCloud is that's been constant for both devices since the beginning. And you can access that not just from the phones, but you can access that from any computer as long as you have your login information. And so then you can do what Jim's doing, where you import that data. You go to the cloud and then you print it out if you want and put it in a 3-ring binder or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, well, Jim's Cray 3500 is not working right now. So
No.
Needs
Shut
a
up, Paul.
motherboard.
Well, the problem is somebody put in the wrong punch card, and so it's got a hanging Chad.
Yeah.
Just imagine. Just be glad I can't put my face on the air flipping you birds off.
Remember, there's no more flipping off. You got to get yourself a duck call.
That's right.
Otherwise, you can deal with him. I'm not. I already got yelled at by him once for having naughty things in the reloading room.
Who him?
And you know who I'm talking about?
Who me?
No, Soup. I'm not getting yelled by Soup again.
Superman. When
yeah,
that man speaks, people listen.
You can get yelled at by him.
I have. And he does point out inconsistency.
Mm-hmm. So.
Anyway, he never listens to the podcast. He's one of the best handlers we have. The guy we're talking about, his name is correct. Name is John Super. Yeah, as in Superintendent Super. That's his real name.
Yep, he's in the Reloading Room and the Reloading Podcast group on Facebook. So.
And he's one of the best admins I've ever had, if not the best. And that's why I jumped on a posting in the middle of the Reloading podcast, the Reloading Room podcast. That's why I jumped on there and praised him to high heaven, because that man, he treats the Reloading Room and the podcast as if it was his own personal property, which in a sense it's become.
Mm-hmm.
But enough about that. We're talking about groups on Facebook. Let's get back to the Reloading.
Vanessa wants to know, do you have your bullet geometries stored?
Oh my God, no. Just a bullet shape and weight.
Paul?
Geometries, yes, because they change.
Okay.
I mean,
how would one find out that? So say we've got that 350 Legend and we want to figure out what our bullet geometry is. How do you figure that out?
Comparator. Optical comparator.
You can do it the hard way, by that, or you can go to the manufacturer and ask for the geometry and what they have, and they will usually give it to you, and you can go that way, so you can measure when things change. And I'm going to give you a little idea here of how things have changed over the years.
Okay.
Take the 22-250 cartridge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Standard bullet for it for years has been a 55 grain bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's been a flat base. All right. Now then, you take and put a plastic tip on that bullet, and you can no longer get that bullet to stabilize in the standard 1 in 14 twist in the 22-250. Will not do it. You put the plastic tip on a 50 grain bullet with a flat base, and it will not stabilize with that plastic tip on it. It is too long. You go back to the old soft point 55 grain flat base bullet, and you will get it to stabilize. But all the new bullets, no. New bullet, if it's got a boat tail on it, is not going to stabilize in a 1 in 14 twist.
Is that pretty much like the 1 in 12 twist for a 223?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. You sit down and you're even though that they still sell the 22-250 with a 1 in 14 twist, most of the bullets that are out there will not stabilize that you're going to pick the hand load.
So you need a faster twist rate.
You need a faster twist rate. I was talking with on Discord the other day, and somebody was trying to load a 308, and they were telling me the twist, and I said, not going to work. Oh, excuse me, it was 243. 243, 1 in 10 twists. And they told the bullet, and I pulled the bullet up, and I ran it through a stability, and said, nope, it is not going to work. Well, what about this one? Nope, not going to work. Bullets have changed so much as far as their shape and their production and what the people want, that sometimes the guns are not keeping up with what you need. If you sit down and say, I want to shoot a plastic tipped 95 grain bullet out of my 243 that normally can shoot 100 or 105 grain bullet without a problem, you can't get it because the bullet is going to be too long. The boat tail is going to make it, between the boat tail and the tip of the bullet is going to be too long. You cannot get stabilized out of it. And this is going through all the bullets because we've all sit down and understood that we want that BC. We want that 0.50 or better BC in our bullets. And until the 6.5 Creedmoor came along, when they made the barrel fit the bullets that they were going to sell and shoot through the gun, everybody else was sitting there with too slow as twisted bullets in their barrels. That's why I know what my bullets are and which ones work for me and which ones don't. And if I have to change what I have to do to change to make a bullet shoot. And we're back to barrels again. Why are they trying to make bullets that will not stabilize? Because people demand that they have a high BC bullet. As a reloader, we want that high BC. How many people go out and buy a bolt action 223 Mike, and they sit down and they buy a set of high BC bullets, loaded rounds for it, and they can't get it to shoot?
Mm-hmm.
Happens all the time.
Now, see, the problem is typically your bolt guns are still coming in a 1 in 12 twist.
Right.
However, a 1 in 12 twist will not stabilize anything over 55, and 55 grains is a stretch, honestly. Let's be completely honest here. Your perfect top for a 1 in 12 twist is probably going to be 40-45 grains, depending on the bullet construction. So basically, most of your your rifle manufacturers are selling 223s with a 1 in 12 twist. But they buy that 223 because they want to go deer hunting, and they don't want to use a 55 grain. They want to use a 69 grain or a 73 grain. Guess what? They will be introduced to a term called keyholing, because the factory ammo is not moving anywhere fast enough to be able to get that bullet to stabilize coming out of that barrel. Can it be done? Yes, but you better learn how to hand load, and you better learn how to walk that line, that fine line between oh my goodness and oh shit. Because you're going to have to push the heck out of that 69 grain or that 73 grain bullet to get it to be moving fast enough to stabilize.
If you can even do it.
Right. Sometimes you can't, depending on your barrel length. If you've got an 18 or 20-inch barrel, forget it. You got a 24, 26, you got a good shot at it. So.
But you can sit down and say 69 grain bullet and 224 needs a 1 in 9 twist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a 77
probably,
grain. A 77 grain bullet needs a 1 in 8 or faster twist or a 1 in 7.
Yeah.
I go out and buy an AR that's got a 1 in 9 twist. I can't shoot a 77 grain bullet in it. Ain't gonna happen.
You got a little better chance with that of getting that to move faster through that platform than you would,
If I buy a piece, buy factory ammo, top of the line.
Factory ammo, no, not gonna happen.
Factory ammo, top of the line. Black Hills 77 grain OTM match.
Yep.
Put it in 1 in 9 twist AR.
Keyhole.
Ain't gonna happen. Right.
Nope. It's gonna keyhole all day.
You know.
So.
I go out and buy a 90 grain Sierra Match King bullet and put it in a 1 in 7 twist AR. Guess what? Gonna keyhole.
Yep, factory ammo will. So, but that's why we hand load, so we can do stuff like that.
Right. But even still, the bullet shape is going to lead to what the twist in the barrel needs to have.
Yep.
And you have to be able to keep track of things and if you don't understand it, look up the bullet, go to JBM Ballistics, look up the bullet length, run it through their stability analyzer, and see if you can get a bullet that the bullet between the twist in your barrel and the bullet will be stable in your gun. Save yourself $40. Box of bullets. Do you find that you change the velocity for barrel twist for the bullet speed depending on the bullet you want to use in the field? I can switch to a lighter bullet to get more speed. And then there comes some issues of too light a bullet, too fast a twist, and the bullet can come apart. Other side is the bullet is too long for the twist. But then again, you got flat base bullets. I can sit down and say, okay, I want a flat base round nose bullet for 243 that weighs 110 grains. I believe Barnes still makes that bullet, running a 1 in 10 twist, and I can shoot a 110 grain bullet in it. Okay, 1 in 10 twist. Couldn't do the same thing with a 107 Sierra. There's just not enough twist or speed I can get with the bullet to make it work.
The heavier the bullet, the faster the twist rate. I mean, that's the general rule.
General rule. And JBM Ballistics, if you go there, there's a whole section on bullet length. How long
and that will be in the show notes.
And then you go to the stability part. You can put in how long the bullet is, what the diameter is, the bullet weight, everything, the twist of your gun, how fast you're going, the atmosphere, and it will tell you if you can shoot that bullet in your gun. And the list is long as far as bullets go, guys. May not have them all, but it's really long.
Gentlemen, on that note, sorry about that. I'm going to have to call it a night.
Good night, Jim.
Good night, Jim.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, Jim.
420 comes awful early.
I
Take
will
care.
be plowing
Russ,
snow by that time.
good for you. Russ up in Alaska, thanks for the kicking the butt, giving back on the air. Bye-bye. Good night, y'all.
Good night,
Good
Jim.
night. Yep, you got it right, Vanessa. Heavier bullets need to have a higher twist rate to spin it up.
Yep. Easiest way to explain this to people is football. You have two different things when a quarterback drops back to pass. You either have an absolute beautiful spiral and it just floats through the air perfectly, or you have what they call a wounded duck, whether it's tipped the line or the quarterback just bleh, but that football just wobbles all over the place and it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. Same thing with
Yep.
bullets. You either have a beautiful spin, or you have it going all over the place. So, what you doing, Nick?
Looking at bullet molds I have. I know I had some. Just was wanting to see what I had.
What twist rate do you need for that bullet mold in your hand?
Well, this one I'm selling.
I don't care.
This
what
one's
twist rate do you need for it?
I don't know.
Why
It's a
not?
44 caliber, so it probably says in the book here.
1 in 16.
That's probably what I was thinking. Yep.
1 in 16.
But
I got to figure out some way that we can go for longer than an hour on Instagram. Southpaw Legend over in Rumble asked, question, favorite manual powder trickler?
Manual powder trickler. Ooh. You know, I'm not going to say manual because there's a couple of them out there that are, yeah, you got the Redding, but
the new line is very interesting.
I mean, any of the ones that are this style are decent.
Yeah.
Reading, Frankfurt. So, it's Reloading Podcast, Vanessa. She asked what the Rumble channel name is. I know it. It's all original. Anyway. But okay. So as you were saying, Paul.
Yeah, there's another one out there. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's been a while. It's electronic. It's a little battery operated one that you can. It's got 2 buttons on it. You can push and it will go. It will slowly trickle in a powder, or it will rapidly trickle powder in. I'm gonna have to look for it. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't have my setup here where I'm at now. But
Dandy.
yes, little dandy.
Yep.
Yes, that's it. That one is a very nice powder trickler where you can actually get 1 grain of powder at a time out of it. And also go faster. So Hornady makes a electronic
Yep.
powder
Trickler.
That's the
My
one you can
understanding
pull
is
off the
actually pretty good.
stand and set it off, and you can have like the base
Yep.
unit over here. Yeah, it looks
Yep.
pretty interesting. I was debating on that for a while.
I have one.
Yeah, the Hornady vibratory trickler is actually, from what I've heard, actually pretty good.
Yes.
Let's see here. What's the one that's on 6BR? Excuse me.
And really looking at that, like right now,
Vibrashine makes one, I guess.
I'd rather just go with that, like that Hornady vibratory powder trickler over an actual hand trickler. It's on sale right now at Mid-South for $47. You're going to
There
spend
you go.
$20-$25 minimum on a manual. You might as well upgrade to the vibratory. So
yeah, that Hornady one actually is built pretty well. So
yeah, it works good.
Just as a reminder, folks, especially if you're on one of the newer platforms, make sure you give thumbs up so people see the podcast, please and thank you. So if you want to give thumbs up, don't give me a thumbs up just because you're being nice. If you don't like it, don't give a thumbs up. So but yeah, definitely I would say that at that price, just get the Hornady one. So don't buy their regular powder dispensers. I would not recommend those any way, shape, or form, because the second edition doesn't seem to be better than the first. I have a first edition automatic powder dispenser sitting out in the garage. I don't know how many loads it threw, but it was under 1,000, and it just quit.
Yeah.
Do we know anybody to use their new scale?
I wouldn't trust it.
I wouldn't either. That's just I don't know if anybody personally that's ran it. So I just wonder if we,
it for the cost that they want for that scale, I can buy an O-House on any of the discount scale places that measure to 2/100ths of a grain. Okay, an O-House. It may not be expandable, but it'll measure.
Yeah, it's on current price is $390 on Mid-South. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What, for that M2?
No, their new Precision Lab digital scale. It's kind of like the one that a lot of people use, the regular powder measure built on top. And it just drops the charge electronically. But it looks similar to like those, but it's Hornady branded and everything. Got the little door in the front. $390.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
That's insane.
What are they on, crack?
It's got a 5-star review. 2 5-star reviews.
Oh, it says it reads to 100th of a grain readout. 3,000 grain capacity, high and low sensitivity, easy calibration. Compare percent and count modes, print to spreadsheet function. Yeah, but no. Nope. That looks silly. So, alrighty then. So, yeah, since we had our episode taking them down a few weeks ago, they haven't taken any more down, but we don't know if they're going to start acting up again. It's like they did like a round on a bunch of people, and then that was it. So, because I haven't seen a lot of stuff getting taken down since, but no reason to think they won't just start doing it again anyway.
Okay, I just did a quick check, and an Ohouse Scout 123 scale is 450, and it measures into the 200ths of a grain. So, if you're thinking about spending $350 on Hornady, save your money, please. Please save your money. Buy the
Well, isn't a
Ohouse.
120? Isn't a 120 not much more than that?
A 120 is going to be about 580 right now.
Okay, so
Just so you know.
but yeah, so yeah, so but the big things, yeah. I mean, just to recap, you can still do case capacity. You can do all the primer pocket work. You can do the flash hole, and that type of thing. You can either do a small case mouth expansion, or you can get an M die and do a better expansion, and get a good crimp die. Micrometers, bullet seating. You can sort your bullets by weight and shape and bearing surface. You can sort you can be more consistent with your powder charge with a better quality scale and dispenser units. So there's still stuff you can do to be premium straight wall without having all the extra stuff that we'll get into in bottleneck in a few weeks. So next week, bottleneck basics. So next week, basically, we're just going to kind of talk about the basic equipment you need. Some of it's the same as straight wall, some of it's not. So, but that's what we're going to cover next week. And then the following week, we'll actually get into doing some actual work. So make sure you swing over to Patriot Patch Company. Yes, I know it's April, but I haven't gotten the April patch of the month yet. So we've got Here is March still. All Luck, No Skill. You got the Leprechaun with NVGs and a pair of MP5s on a skateboard. And like I said, you get Ryan's original drawing, the sticker, and the morale patch. If you become a Patch of the Month Club member, you can do it one of two ways. If you want to support the podcast, you can actually go to firearmsradio.net and then check out our page on there, and they'll have the Patreon link there, or you can just go over to Patriot Patch Company and sign up for the Patch of the Month there. We do Patreon. We also have Southern Gals Crafts that is selling our merchandise. So this lovely shirt. We've got tumblers like this. We got hoodies. More stuff to come in the future. So, and can koozies. So, but make sure you check them out. So, that's also got a link in the show notes and on our webpage. So you can check that out. The other thing we want to talk about is Camerado. So Sean Heron decided he didn't like the camouflage that was available for him for hunting in Colorado. So he came up with his own. So this is Camerado. If you look, you can kind of see some different elements in here. You can see some trees and some scrub and different colorings and stuff that kind of blends in with a lot of the stuff there. It's a really good camouflage. So say goodbye to the same old bland camo designs. Camerado brings a fresh, cool-edged camouflage design, not just to function, but to turn heads. With Camerado, you're not just wearing camo, you're making a statement. Unlike traditional camo, Camerado is crafted for both performance and fashion. It's a perfect fusion of functionality and style, ensuring you look as good as you feel no matter the setting. So That's just an example that I keep. I have pajama pants, which I love the heck out of. I've had them for a few months now. They hold up really well. They're nice and warm, and they look good enough that you can wear them out. Because I've done it a couple times when I've had to run errands, and I feel like going through all the rigmarole of putting other pants on. So very nice. They've got a whole bunch of different clothing and everything. Camorado.com. It's CAMORADO.com. Swing in, check them out. And if you use coupon code RLP, you'll get a discount. So make sure you swing over and check them out. Like I said. Oh, sorry. It's cold reload, not RLP, for 5% off. So, but yeah, I mean, just some good stuff over there. They've got some, comfy wear around the house. They've got actual hunting stuff. They had a snow version of this for a while. I don't know if they've still got any of that available or not, but so yeah, it's just pretty awesome. But we don't need to be staring at me. There we go. Okay, that's better. So, any final thoughts on tonight's discussions?
Nope.
No. All right. So, like I said, next week we're going to talk about bottlenecks. On that note, keep your brass shiny.
Jump on the Millsap short bus.
Teach them shoot and reload when they're young.
Grandpa told me, don't listen to your mama. Violence does solve problems.
Support the Second Amendment. Support your local organizations. Find some national organizations to support. Make sure that you're calling your elected representatives, local, state, national, and letting them know how you feel. Make sure you're doing it in a nice, cordial manner. When you're doing it, think of it like you're talking to your mama, and your mama's a true old-fashioned mama, where if you mouth off, she's gonna just knock you into the next week. So that's the type of mentality you want to have when you're talking to these people, is that if you say one slight wrong thing, you're going to get the snot knocked out of you. That way you remember to stay nice and calm and peaceful, because that's what we need to do when we're talking to them. Because you start to get irritated or raise your voice or anything like that, done. They don't want to listen to you anymore. So, but you know who will listen to you? If you're struggling and you're struggling with some mental health issues, give a call to 1-800-273-8255 or 988 from your cellular device. They will listen, and they'll help get you onto the path to get the help that you need to get better. So just reach out. Don't struggle in silence. Reach out, get some help. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's a good sign of strength to reach out and get that help. So good night, all.